Hi there, here's 10 lessons that I've learned since I started metal detecting. And number 10 might be the most important one. So let's roll right into number 1, research. So if you want to get out there and make some pretty cool finds, something that might be a lot older, you'll want to do some research on the sites that you want to hunt. One of my go-to websites for that is Historic Aerials. You'll want to check that site out in your area and see how far back those maps go. In some areas, they go back pretty far. Here, they only go back to about 1930 on the topos, and the aerials go back to 1955. So not super old, but I've used historic aerials in my research to find some really good places to hunt. So research is key if you want to find some really cool stuff. Lesson number 2 is when you first start, dig everything. Now, I didn't do this, but I wish I would have known, because digging every target that you find really helps you learn that detector, and it helps you learn what different targets sound like. It's going to help you better be able to distinguish different types of targets, the sounds of the targets, and you'll get a good idea what VDIs are for them. So when you first start out, dig everything. Heck, go in your yard. You can go in your backyard, front yard, anywhere like that you have easy access to, and I'll guarantee you're going to find some stuff. I have used my yard for practice over and over and over again, and it works great. So you ready for number 3? Guess what? Not every target's going to be super deep. So that means you don't have to dig a 12-inch hole every time. Guilty of that myself. Sometimes I dig the hole a lot bigger than it needs to be, and you don't always need to do that. Some of the best targets I've found have been mere inches below the surface, and I've even found some really cool surface finds. So maybe somebody used this as a pendant? Oh, nice! Man, I almost didn't mess with this one. But look at how deep this was. It was right there. I almost didn't mess with it because I thought it was going to be trash because it was so shallow and it was making so much noise. Lesson number 4. You can't completely trust the VDI numbers. Let's face it, there's a lot of factors that come into play when you're detecting. Ground conditions, the size of the target, the depth of the target, and also the condition of the target. You can find targets that are bent, that are going to set the VDI is going to be way off. If you're hunting in iron infested areas, then that's going to drag the VDI down, usually to a lower number. So don't always trust that number too much. Yeah, there's going to be some ballpark numbers where this number could be, a penny or a quarter, and it normally falls into that range, but that's not always going to be the case. Just keep that in mind when you're detecting. Lesson number 5. Don't ignore those odd signals. Sometimes it can be something really cool. It's easy to not dig the crazy stuff, the crazy tones, the crazy numbers, but use your gut. Sometimes when you're out there digging, you might have a signal that sounds really wonky, and it can be something really nice. Hey, number 6. Recovery speed matters. If you're hunting an iron infested site or in a trashy park, a detector with a fast recovery speed really helps. When you're out there in the field, don't be afraid to tweak your settings on your recovery speed. Take the time to experiment. Learn how the different recovery speeds affect the way you detect targets. Generally, a lower recovery speed will enable you to detect targets at a deeper depth, but you will sacrifice a little bit of separation. On the flip side of that, the higher recovery speeds normally allow you to separate targets faster and better at the sacrifice of just a little bit of depth. So keep that in mind, but don't be afraid to experiment. Number 7 is location over equipment. Now, I might get some hate for this or some comments, but this is the way I feel about it. You could take a $200 detector to a really, really good spot to hunt, and you could find some really cool stuff. And on the flip side, you could take a $1,200 to $1,500 detector to a bad spot and not find anything good at all. So, and part of that also is learning that detector you have. Whichever detector it is, make sure you learn it. Number 8, carry the right tools. When I first started detecting, I was using really cheap garden trowels from the dollar store or Walmart or places like that, or really cheap shovels. And I'm going to tell you, I went through several of those. They just don't hold up to what we do in the field, especially if you're digging around roots or in rocky ground, hard ground. Those cheaper shovels they don't hold up. So do yourself a favor and make sure you invest in a really nice shovel. And speaking of shovels, I'm going to show you the brand that I use exclusively now. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do stand by them because this is the best shovel that I've ever used so far. But right now I'm sticking with this brand right here, and it's EXCALIBUR shovels. This is the Cirque model. This is one tough shovel, let me tell you. This thing, I opted for the D handle, and you can customize the length of these shovels also. But these are very, very tough. I'm very pleased with this shovel. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 Cirques. I've got this one, and then I've got one that has a extra wide and extra long blade on it. And it works. I don't have it right here with me, but it works great also. And the other shovel I have by EXCALIBUR is the Sax hand digger. And let me tell you, this is a hand digger on steroids right here. You can get through the roots with this. It's got a nice T-handle on it, lots of leverage right here. This thing is great. I'll leave links in the description of the video for these 2 shovels and EXCALIBUR's website. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I talk about them any chance I get because it's a great shovel. And it's a one-man show. Casey builds these himself. He powder coats them himself. So, and he's right here in the USA. Other things to consider are a good pinpointer. There's several out there to choose from. You'll also want to look at getting yourself a good finds pouch. Make sure the pouch you look for has plenty of pockets in it so that you can put your bigger finds in one big pocket, maybe a smaller pocket for the small stuff. And a lot of those pouches also have a holster for your pinpointer. And something else to look for also, if you're interested in trying to just brush your finds or clean them up a little bit when you're in the field, grab yourself some small brushes. You can go to the dollar store and get toothbrushes, very cheap. Those work well for brushing some of that dirt off so you can get a good look at your find. And the dollar store also has little mini spray bottles, and those come in handy to put water in. Like if you find a piece of silver, that works great. Just spray a little water on it so you can get that dirt off. Check your date, check the coin, or whatever piece of silver it might be. So I'll show you real quick. Here's a little rig that I made up. It's nothing fancy. I used a cheap little carabiner here, an old medicine bottle, some key rings, and I got my brushes attached to it. So the medicine bottle has toothpicks in it. If I want to scrape some coins or something like that and get a little dirt off of it. And this brush right here is a gun cleaning brush, and these are really handy. So you've got the bigger brush on this end, and you got a really thin brush on that end. And these are great. This is one that I picked up at Dollar General that was marked down to like 30 cents. And I also have this is a paintbrush handle, but it's plastic, so if I need to scrape something, it's not going to damage it. So that's my little rig that I got made up, and I attach that to my vest or or the strap on my camera, my chest mount. Number 9, digging etiquette is very important. Be a good steward of the hobby. Learn how to dig a good plug, a proper plug, and don't leave holes uncovered. Don't leave a mess. If you dig trash, take it out. Etiquette goes a long way, especially when it comes to permissions. If you have a really good permission and you leave it a mess and leave holes everywhere, chances are that landowner's going to say, you're not coming back. So learn that good etiquette. Well, that pretty much wraps up all of them. That leaves one to go, and that's number 10. And I said this might be the most important one out of all. And this is one that took me the longest time to learn, and that is metal detecting is a long game. Don't expect that you're going to go out there on the first hunt and find awesome things. You just might. You might get lucky and find some awesome stuff. But for the most part, it's a long game. It took me a full year before I ever found my first silver item, and that was an earring. So then after that, I found a mercury dime and a Roosevelt dime, a silver quarter. You know, it started coming. And also what comes into play with that is I was learning more about my detector. So just keep that in mind. It's a long game. It's a learning process. And that's just what you have to do. Get out there and learn your detector, dig a bunch of targets, and you'll start learning what it's telling you. And you'll be more successful with every hunt. And even then, sometimes hunts aren't good. But it just all depends. But don't let that discourage you from getting out there and having fun with the greatest hobby in the world, in my opinion, which is metal detecting. So I really appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, because a lot of people that watch my videos are not subscribed, and subscribing really helps the channel out. I'll see you on the next video. Hope you have some good hunts. Thanks.